Bist again. You're in the car now, getting warm. I was trying to pass on a message about what happened before start. I'll say that my phone's been playing up, so if it cuts out halfway, then you know why. But something quite nice happened to me yesterday. My front doorbell rang, and it was the post lady, a new one. I hadn't seen her before. And I've got script up on my front door. And she says, "Are you a Christian?" And I says, "Yes, I am." I says, "Are you?" And she says, "Yes." I said, "What's your name?" And she told me. I'm not going to relay the name here because obvious reasons, I don't want to get her into trouble. But I said, "Do you want to come in?" She says, "No, I don't." And I said, "Well, you've seen me stuff on the door." I says, "You're out and about every day as a post lady. Tell me what you're seeing." And she told me a couple of stories. First of all, on the rounds that she does, she's now one up 2 people that have had ingrowing toenails. But it's no worse than a bad cold. Lasts a few days. Normal circumstances, you wouldn't even have time off work for it. Okay, that's not every single case all around the country. Some people have it much worse than others. But that's what she's experienced. I said at the moment, the organisation, which I won't name, which she works for, it's in absolute chaos. And the reason for that is, in the sorting office near where I live, they've had a chap who's got the ingrowing toenails. So he's obviously had to have time off, and because they've all got the TNT on the phones, they've all had to do the old self-isolation nonsense. So as she says, there's 46 people off, and they're in chaos. She says, "These parcels I'm delivering to you today, a couple of things I got off eBay." I says, "You probably won't have any post for a while." And I said, "Well," I says, "do you know this guy?" And she says, "Yes, I'm in contact with him, I know him quite well." And I said, "Have you spoken to him?" And she says, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, what kind of state's he in?" And he says, "Bad cold. He had a hacking cough. Felt a bit under the weather, bit rubbish. Thought, well, because of obvious events, better get it checked out." So he did. He tested P. So that was it. He's off work, and 46 others who he's been working with. So it's. But for himself, again, it's a bad cold. You probably last year, well, not last year, but maybe a couple of years ago, he'd have gone, winter cold. I'm having, I might have a couple of days off till I feel better, or not. A lot of us who go to work, take no notice, just take a Lemsip. So that's all I've got to say about that, really. So it did, in one way. It was good news, but it brightened my day because it confirms. Because you don't see that many people and you don't talk to that many people, that there is people who are not buying the exaggerations. They're like us. They're not denying it. They're not saying this does not exist. I'm saying this is a threat, a biological threat. It's dangerous. It needs to be dealt with. But the way the governments have dealt with it, which is basically destroying the economy, and all the rest of it, is not a sensible and healthy way to deal with it.
Absolutely.
And the only thing you can, I always try to see things from the other guy's point of view. I believe there's an agenda behind this, and it's satanic. Other people don't. They laugh and take the mickey out of it. But look, see, from another person's point of view, it's let's say the government are well-meaning people, right? They're trying to handle this biological threat. Well, why would you do it like this?
Well, yeah.
The only thing you can say is about that is perhaps if they think if they didn't do enough and people passed away through ingrowing toenails, they're going to get it in the neck. So perhaps they've gone overboard to try and deal with it, so they can say, well, we did everything. Maybe we're being pushed with all these restrictions, we're being pushed into rebelling. Because if the government ended it and something, people were dying, a lot of people would say it's the government's fault because you.
In relation to that, with the lady that was delivering,
at Leeds. At work, we have a pickup of our parcels. I do parcels and things, orders, and 4:30 we have a pickup, and the chap, friendly guy who would talk with me, but he goes along with everything and believes it all. He has the muzzle and gloves, but he's happy to talk. And but he was complaining that he has to collect from the boxes on the streets the mail, and it's all mixed in. The tests of the ingrown toenails are all mixed in together with ordinary letters, and he has to handle it all and deal with it. And of course, if one is under the impression of this deadly ingrown toenails that's affecting everyone, that he had great concern and trouble, and why aren't they doing something about it, and why should I be subjected to this? Well, and it begs the question that if this was a real deadly killer situation, then the government surely would have collections of people set aside to gather up all the things that have been thrown on the ground and incinerated.
They're scattered
But they're
everywhere
not.
right now.
They're not. And
Yeah.
why? This raises the question, why? Is it simply because they know it's a hoax? Is that the reason? Because why would they not act on it otherwise? Raises the question, doesn't it?
Well, again, I don't know. I'm just asking the question. That surely throwing these things on the floor when you come out, because people
It's no good to no one,
It's
isn't it?
no good to anybody. And
Yeah.
if it presented some, the deputy dogs, the marshals who wear the ill-fitting uniforms and walk around like Rambo, why not employ them to go around and pick them up?
Well,
Because surely that's from a public health point of view, that's going to be more beneficial
yes.
than you've had absorbent pieces of cloth that people have breathed through and thrown onto the floor.
Yeah. And we know at the very least these things would contain bacteria and fungus and fungi, all sorts of things, regardless if it's infected with the ingrown toenails or not.
But these marshals aren't being employed to do that. They're employed to basically go around and not I wouldn't go so far as saying intimidate, but to show a bit of uniform to get people to feel like they're being lorded over by authority. Really, watch your step. That's what it is. Should we leave it there?
Yeah, we'll.
Okay, before
we'll leave it there.
before the phone cuts out again. So,
Yeah.
God bless.
God bless them.
God bless.